Jennifer Jeffley has been in prison for the last 2 decades for the vicious murder of 71-year-old Maria Palomina, and Jennifer allegedly confessed.
They told me once I signed the statement, I'd be able to go home.
She never went home again. Jennifer's former appeals attorney, Rocket Rosen, says that statement alone got her convicted.
If this confession, if it had been suppressed, you feel she would not have spent the last 20 years in prison?
I believe that, yes, in my heart.
Jennifer says she's innocent and she has 2 alibis to prove it. But there's someone who says what she saw that day contradicts that. Eva Mondragon, remember her? Jennifer stayed at her house with 2 other boys the night before the murder, and Jennifer says it was Eva who told her what to say to detectives.
Why did Eva want you to say you were with her?
She said our lives was in danger.
Crime Watch Daily reached Eva Mondragon, who initially agreed to a sit-down interview, but then changed her mind, citing safety concerns. But in a phone interview with our producer, she says she remembers things went down very differently, starting off with a bombshell.
Eva told me that there is no way that Jennifer is not involved. She told me they were awakened by what sounded like screams and that Jennifer had left to make a phone call. Eva told me once outside, she saw a screen dangling, so she called out, "Are you okay?" because her neighbor was an elderly woman.
Eva claims it was Jennifer's voice she heard from the apartment saying, "I've just fallen and hit my head." Eva continues saying, "I ran off to the manager's office, and when I came back to our apartment, Jennifer was out there."
Eva told me, "I know what I saw. She had blood on her shirt, bruising on her arms, a cut on her hands, and fingerprints on her arm as though someone had been holding her arm at her bicep." Eva told me that Jennifer took off running towards her mother's apartment and that by the time she returned, cops were already there.
Eva then said her clothes had changed. She was telling me what I should say to police. I just looked at her. I said I wasn't going to lie for nobody. The 2 stories are radically different. Eva claims she heard Jennifer's voice coming from the victim's apartment at the time of the murder. She saw blood and bruises on Jennifer. Jennifer told her what to say to police. But remember, Jennifer says she was on the phone with Craig Peters at the time of the murder. She had no blood or bruises on her. Eva told her what to say to police.
Did you kill Miss Palomina?
No, I did not. I had just went through the murder of my oldest brother. I know what it's like to have somebody take something from you, to rob your family of a life. I couldn't do that. I'm not even capable of murder.
You had nothing to do with the crime?
No, I did not.
And still, the family has many unanswered questions, including what did Eva tell police in her statements after the murder? Rocket Rosen told Crime Watch Daily the case file is sealed because Jennifer was a juvenile. But how could that be when she was tried as an adult? And if in Jennifer's 4th statement, the one which got her convicted, she named Ernest and Tim as the accomplices, where are they and why weren't they charged and tried? Also, with no physical evidence linking Jennifer to the scene, whose unknown DNA did they find? And has that DNA since been put into the system to see if there are any hits?
It was really just like a done deal. Hey, we got to kill her. Let's convict her and let's move on to the next one.
What pains you the most in all this?
They took her away and charged her with something that she didn't do. Her life was and has been
Robbed from her.
And from her family, from us.
Crime Watch Daily reached out to the Houston Police Department multiple times. They declined to comment. We also reached out to the Harris County District Attorney, Jennifer's public defender, retired Detective Swainson, and retired Sergeant Allen. They never returned our calls. In court documents, though, Sergeant Allen testified that at the time he was interrogating Jennifer, he did not consider her to be a suspect. He was merely trying to find out what happened and to fill in the gaps in the sequence of events.
Did the detectives make a mistake?
I don't believe that they made a mistake. I believe that they intentionally and knowingly took my life with malice and intent to appease the family or for a conviction rating, success rate.
What about the attorney?
He didn't do anything. He didn't fight for me. He had no passion for my life. He had no passion for my case.
Do you think that if you had been an affluent family, if you had had money, do you think this would have happened?
No, because one, I would have been able to afford an attorney that would have represented Jennifer completely. And two, because I would have been able to stand up to the detectives better then. But they got me at my weakest point because losing 2 boys, 2 sons, 2 children, so I couldn't really, I didn't have it in me to fight, so.
But you tried.
I tried. My hope is that she comes home before I pass away.
What do you need right now?
I need people to wonder why, to question why. I need people to demand answers.
Jennifer Jeffley won't be eligible for parole for another 20 years. She'll be 55.
What have you missed most?
What I miss most is my mom. I miss family. I miss being treated with dignity and respect. I've never been on a date. I've never had the opportunity to fall in love.
What do you have to say to your mother and your sisters?
I miss you. I love you. Mama, hang on, I'm coming. I'm coming.
This case raises all sorts of questions, so to try to help us answer some of them, we've brought in attorney Jesse Weber. Jesse, as always, thank you very much. You weren't personally involved in this case, but you've reviewed it. How can it be that a 15-year-old girl was held 9 hours without a parent or attorney there, and this can be a valid confession?
Well, as the court said, number one, she wasn't technically in custody when she made her first incriminating statements. The police were just trying to figure out what happened. She wasn't technically a suspect yet. When she made her second statement, she had already been read her rights by 2 magistrates, and so the argument is that she voluntarily waived any rights that she may or may not have had.
There was no videotape of this.
Right.
It was written, typed out, and she signed it, and she claims that the cop said, if you sign this, you can go home.
Right, and if I was her attorney, I would do everything in my power to say that this is a coercive police tactic to get information and that this is not the way that it should have been handled. Unfortunately, the way that the law is written as it currently stands, there really are questions about whether or not she really was in custody when they were first interrogating her, or let me rephrase, first questioning her. And then there's also questions about whether or not she actually was read her rights properly, and then was, she voluntarily waived her rights. So I see what they were trying to do. Unfortunately, I don't know if there was much more that they could have done.
What do you think the chances are that she gets a new trial?
Very slim. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals is the highest court in Texas for all criminal matters. And when they make a decision, and here it was to not review her case, to not review her appeal, that's final. Judgment's final, unless there is some change in the law, some change in the standard and the tests that were used in the case that would somehow allow a new appeal. But again, that's very, very low.
Jesse Weber, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Jennifer Jeffley deserves a new trial? Sound off right now on our Facebook page.